Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. We are joined once again by our friends, Marcus of Man, Aliss. How you guys doing?
Hey, doing good. How you doing?
Rocking and rolling, rocking and rolling. I don't like the fact that we can call people our friends now because that's what you guys have become.
Well,
So yeah, you just say it's been way too long since I've had you on. So it's good
we're
to have you. How you both been?
we're
A
assuming
few
a lot there,
months.
Jamie. By the way, I just want to say we're assuming a lot, saying that you are our friends. You haven't confirmed that or denied it.
Oh, sorry, my friends. Sorry. Well,
He's presuming a lot here. We'll see how this interview goes after it. The first ones were okay, but then we were working. Now it's a shoot, brother.
oh, then I'm taking the rings off. I don't shoot. I'm too old for that. So how you both been anyway? The whole wrestling scenes, it's opening up again over there now, isn't it?
I mean, it's been a really good half a year for wrestling in the Nordics. I can tell you that much. Uh, when everything's starting to open up again after the lockdowns, I mean, it's been things going on everywhere. So very happy about that. It's
Well, Alice, yourself, you've had some pretty good matches since coming back from the pandemic. I believe I've seen on Twitter you're starting to get the attention of a lot of people across the pond as well. I mean, I've seen people tweeting about you and even saying that they want to see you wrestle Janai Kai, which I think would be incredible.
I would love
Very
that.
similar style. I want to see that just because you both have that MMA martial arts style. That would be great. But you've been doing great for yourself. We'll start with you. How has it been since you came back from the pandemic? Because I feel
I
like
mean,
you've
it's
really made the most of it.
yeah, I've been getting some great opportunities. Maybe to say that Body Slam kind of skyrocketed this for me with having on the Scandicrab tournament, which I happened to win against the final against Carlos Zamora, which is absolutely brilliant wrestler. So that was a really fun night, and came out with the trophy. And after that, things started happening, and that's also on IWTV, where she got some attention as well. So I think a lot of the attention now is kind of spiraling from that, basically.
I think it's really cool when people, like, especially from the lesser known wrestling scenes like Scandi Grap's Nordic wrestling scene, those developing wrestling scenes where you're still quite new to a lot of people. Because we've spoken to quite a few of you. When I see your name mentioned as stateside, for example, I feel like this sense of pride, and I'm like, I know them. And it's so cool seeing your name thrown into the mix with, like Janai Kai, like I mentioned, and Bloodsport, for example. I think that would be amazing
Yeah.
for itself. I just think it's really cool that you've come back from the pandemic, both of you, and just kind of picked up from where you left off. You haven't wasted any time, and you've just got straight back to it. It must be so good getting back in the ring after that much time off.
Yes, and that was always the worry. I mean, what's going to happen afterwards? Are we going to be able to have shows on home turf? That was in the wind for quite a long time as well. So, and obviously now when we see the numbers going up again, it's a bit of the worries coming back, I have to say.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We've had like a different thing in Sweden than you've had in the UK and the rest of Europe. We've had like restrictions, but not like official lockdowns. But things have been put in place so much so that it would be impossible to have a show. So kind of like you have to sit inside, only 100 people, everyone has to show a Corona passport, all these kind of things.
Okay, yeah.
So we could have put a show on, but in practicality, it would have not worked at all.
From a financial point of view as well as
Yeah.
if you can only fill 100 people, you kind of capping yourself on any profit, aren't you? So I'm sure as a wrestler and a promoter, you'd rather just do it at full capacity when it's safer to do so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I know. Obviously, the numbers are going back up here again now as well, and it's a scary town. I mean, Callum want to get over to Sweden this year, don't we? Well, next year even. Sorry, getting some shows. That's still very much on the bucket list. But before we move on as well, Alice, I have to ask you as well. I mean, obviously, you recently fought Session Moth Martina. What was that experience like?
I mean, I was so brilliant to be in the ring with her, I have to say. I mean, she's she's such a veteran in everything, and absolutely awesome as a person as well. So all respect to her. I know she had some interesting matches quite recently now as well. So yeah, she's keeping busy, obviously.
Yeah.
I
Did
hope
you share a beer afterwards?
We didn't actually. We actually did. We did have she had beers. I had whiskey. But
Copenhagen is a really good party town. She's not been there before, but I think she turned the whole city upside down. Definitely the best thing. We had a party and everything afterwards. So no, it's she always brings a really good atmosphere to the shows.
Yeah.
Callum, we need to get over to Sweden.
So I was going to say, guys, I mean, things are happening now. There's a bit more restrictions, but we've got a show coming up 29th of January. The name of the show is Cruel Britannia.
Oh.
We're looking to have a British invasion.
Dude, I made a tag team on SmackDown vs. Raw years ago called Cruel Britannia.
No way. So you great minds think alike. So you guys get yourself on a boat, because I mean, God knows we can't fly anywhere anymore.
I haven't forgotten. I've not forgotten yet about what we're going to do on the boat. Right, I haven't forgotten that we're getting pirate outfits. That's still up here.
In my idea, this could be the first stop. You guys get the boat, commandeer the boat, go around to Stockholm, we do the show, and then we take on Motley Crue from there.
Hell yes.
So the show's called Cruel Britannia, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing if we attended that show somehow, would we be naturally like heel, even if we were like, just by being from Britannia ourselves? Would we be heels even if we were just fans? Like, would people look at us a certain way?
Depends. What do you reckon then? The regular Swedish person on the street, they quite like British people usually. I mean, the ones who haven't met me usually like British people.
Until they meet it, they like British people. That's what it's trying to say.
What they do, we're gonna have like a mix of people on the show. We have got some people coming over from the UK. One name that's been announced so far is Charlie Morgan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She will be wrestling. She'll be wrestling for our women's championship against our women's champion of Sweden, who just so happens to have the brand new Swedish women's title belt.
That's a beautiful belt. It really is.
That is.
I intend to keep it, so she can do her best, but I'll make sure I place it in my pocket, I think.
Well, I mean, obviously, speaking of titles, I mean, will you be defending, Marcus? Or will you be being a cowardly heel and running scared?
I've had a hell of a year since I last spoke to you guys. So I went and challenged this guy on the radio, right? He was like a radio, really famous fella, and it just so happened he stole my title belt. So I went to the studio and I kicked his ass live on air, and I took it back because, as we know, possession is 9/10 of the law. So I'm the official / unofficial Capital City champion. But well, we'll see. But I've still got the belt in my possession. I'm still Marcus Amanda champion, the narcissist. But I'll be making an appearance at Cruel Britannia. So I'll be there, and I've heard there's a rumor going around there'll be another tournament for the vacant male Swedish heavyweight championship, which is now up for grabs. So I might be part of that tournament. So we'll see.
So I'm presuming you've got your eye on that as well, then.
I mean, I could be the champion of Stockholm, which is the biggest city, but I mean, we all know I want to take over the entire country.
Well, this is it. I can see you building an empire, so to speak.
Yeah, wrestling empire. I think that's what's going to happen.
I like that. How's the training going? I know you mentioned to us before about the training school. Has anything happened with that?
Oh, it's been good. We're still looking for a few things to get sorted here, with officially having training and a big training center where we can have the ring up. But we've got we've been training some new people. We've got some good new rookies. We managed to have our first show back for Stockholm Wrestling in November, 13th of November. We had it, so it's just about a month ago. And three of the rookies that have been training this year made their debut on the show. So those, as a trainer, it's a really proud moment to make an impact. So we've got two fellas who've got beards, a bit longer than yours, and they're called Mickey and Magnus, and together they're the Bearded Brothers. And they're a tag team.
I like that That's a very original name. It's descriptive. You know what to expect when you hear it. The Bearded Brothers. You expect two brothers with beards.
They're brilliant. You should look up. I'll send you the links afterwards. Look at their promo videos, and they are basically like 2021's version of the Bushwhackers. People love them.
I'm sold.
Do they need a manager? That's all. I am.
Well, Cruel Britannia's coming up, and I've rumored they might be having a match there. It hasn't been announced yet, but we'll see.
I'm looking them up now, and they look, Stockholm Wrestling, Bearded Brothers. Jamie, their beards. I don't even know if you could be their manager. It'd be like me saying I've got a better beard than you. These guys have beards.
Yeah.
You've got stubble. Compared to them. You've got stubble compared to them.
Yeah, these guys, they're the real deal. So they must be in the ring. And then we got another guy, another fella, rookie we were training. And we decided, people like to be interactive. Our crowd at Stockholm Wrestling want to be involved in the product. So we're like, well, he's a young guy with a baby face. We'll have a competition. We'll say to the audience of Stockholm Wrestling, choose a name for this guy. And we had like 60 different submissions over Facebook. The week's coming up. We just put a picture up, like, what is this guy going to be called? And on the show, we took out like the 6 best names, and we had like a public voting thing, and people cheered. So do you know what this guy is going to be called now? And it's not Wrestler McWrestleface. That was close. They chose the name for the rookie to be Swedish köttfärs, which means in English mincemeat.
I love that.
We got a wrestler on our roster now called Mincemeat.
I love that name.
Honestly,
I really do.
I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, my bet was on Barely Legal Burt Young, but
I didn't win. And the other one was Tinderella.
Tinderella was also.
I love the name Mincemeat.
Has Mincemeat got a beard?
No, he has not. He's the most baby-face looking babyface you've ever seen.
I'll manage him instead then. I can outbeard him then.
It sounds like a pirate name. I think that's why I like it. Mincemeat sounds like a lackey on board a boat. Like
pirate program. You've been watching.
No, it sounds not like a captain of the ship, but like someone on board the ship. He'd be called Mincemeat, sweeping the docks or something. I just think that's a great name. I love it.
Fair enough. I do like it. I do love it as well because obviously with Twitter and stuff and social media. Since we've last had you on, I've noticed it just seems to be taking off even more. The Scandinavian scene. It just seems to be everywhere I look. It's Stockholm. It's Copenhagen. It just seems to be kicking off. And obviously, like you said, IWTV as well. Now, I mean, that's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, it's big stuff.
Scandinavia and the Nordic scene is a little bit forgotten, I think, in wrestling. But it's so much to actually find here. Yeah. There's actually a really good scene, and it's a really good audience for it here. So I think it's gonna take up more. I honestly think it's the more we get out there and get seen, I think it's gonna grow exponentially because there is so much potential.
I think for anyone listening now or watching, it's worth going on to IWTV and getting your 3-week trial if you haven't got it. And just looking up, I've just had a look now. There's a best of Scandinavian mixtape on there.
Yeah, exactly. The Scandinavian mixtape has got one match from each of the main 4 promotions. Yeah,
and it's fantastic. Like the Stockholm wrestling match here in Sweden, casket match with Aliss Inc. and Demon Lock. Like, I mean, if you've never heard of like some of the people on this list, you should do because there's some great talent in the Scandinavian wrestling scene. Everyone knows that. But some people, I'm sure, like we were completely unfamiliar with it. And now we've discovered it, we're hooked. So use your free week on IWTV. Check it out because you've got nothing to lose. You might as well. Yeah. And you get to see Aliss Inc. kick some ass in a casket match. So
it's a great match as well. That's a great match. I think Alice or Marcus, one of you two, sent me that a few months ago.
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah, we won our match of the year for Stockholm Wrestling for that year. So it was
2019, right?
Yeah, 2019 match of the year. And that's the year we had a full calendar as well. So there was a lot of competition for that one. And that was also like a fan voting one, but it was clearly like the match people liked. And that's the one that's on the internet now for everyone to see. And people love that match. So
it's a great match, buddy.
The Scandinavian Invitational on there as well. I still need to give that a watch. But there is a lot of Scandinavian wrestling on there. So if you are completely unfamiliar with it, there is some there. I think that's half the battle is people think, well, where can I watch it? And you can watch it on IWTV with everything else. So
there's a real, I know we mentioned before, there's just like a real underground feeling with the Scandi rap scene. Is that how you two feel? Do you think that's what gets a lot of eyes on it because it's got that underground feel? It's something different.
Well, up to a point, yes, because I mean you have a different connection with the audience, I think, than because I mean I subscribed to IWTV a while back and been looking up different promotions basically randomly. And what I see in the Nordic promotions is you have like the audience is there, they're in it, they're interactive, they want to be a part of it, they're screaming, and I mean they're adding to the product in a way you maybe not see in all promotions because it is more
indie you might have.
Yeah, and I mean it's not about
the audience to the outside, like we're here watching it, we could be doing something else too. But people are so like involved and invested in what they have here. It's like their home promotions because maybe they've not had something like this before. They've not had like so much on TV to watch. So now they're here and like part of a cult, a group, a family.
That's also the thing. I mean, a lot of people here have not grown up with wrestling. They go only to the live shows. They've only seen it live.
Yeah,
it's actually quite common. So it is a different type of product in that way.
I think it's in a lot of ways it's quite similar to how the British scene came about. But the big difference is we'd already had a boom period with wrestling before in the 80s and 90s. It's a very new thing in Scandinavia and the Nordic scene to have a wrestling scene. So this is like the first time you guys, have really got to experience it and be part of it. And I think for that reason, it's a lot more exciting than when we had our boom period a few years ago. For a few reasons, ours has taken a bit of a downturn, but it seems like the Scandinavian scene is still on the up. And I think a lot of it is due to, like you said, people are excited for it. They're part of something for the first time with wrestling. And I'm sure at one point, you might have been a bit embarrassed to say, I'm a wrestling fan or something in some of the countries. But I'm hoping now with all these companies coming up, and do you feel like it's a bit more accepted to be a wrestling fan?
Most people, if you talk to people that are not directly going to shows or already familiar with the product, if you tell them, oh, but I'm a wrestler, they think it's regular martial arts wrestling,
right?
Because you don't make the connection to pro wrestling the same way you might do in other places.
Okay.
So it's not as much as being embarrassed, but not actually knowing it's a thing.
Okay.
People don't expect it to be a thing here, because it's very few TV channels that actually had wrestling on, and now I don't think there's any. But even when it was at its high point in the US and all over the world, basically, you have the 80s, the early 90s, when people were watching wrestling in a different way. It was never really a thing here.
Right.
We've had one wrestler in the WCW, Frank Anderson, that was Swedish. Did a few appearances, and that was kind of like the high point for Swedish wrestling on TV. But that was a very short-lived thing, obviously, and only on the obscure channels, basically.
We've been doing our thing like under the pandemic as well, when it hasn't been showed to kind of like keep this alive. As I said, I've been doing things with the radio. You did a big like interview like segment thing with another radio channel, to get that over. Also, we've been talking with people, spreading the word in like different ways to have it, and we were also like worried when we're going to have this first show back now, how many people are going to turn up for this? Are we going to sell out? But we had like way over what we were planning. I think we sold like 325 tickets, like pre-sales, and then we had walk-ups as well on the door. So we exceeded our expectations with that, and the crowd was there, and they were so into everything because they've been waiting a year and a half for us to come back to have something. And that made everything feel so much better in the ring.
Yeah, there's something special happening, isn't there? I'm getting that that feeling something big's happening. I think. I know Callum said before, didn't you? You think the next boom period in like European wrestling is going to be the Scandi Grab scene, didn't you?
I don't think it's the next one. I think I think when
current
last it was the next one. I think it's currently the
current
period. Yeah, I do. I feel like we've had ours in the UK, and I don't think it's coming back for a while until a few things change. But I feel like in Scandinavia and the Nordic scene in general, there's a lot of potential, and I really do think it's the current boom scene. Like, a lot of people are talking about it, a lot of people are excited for it. So I think it's really up to you guys and girls to keep that going, and you are doing it. And I think there's only a positive that can come from this, and I think you're going to be on. You're already on IWTV. That's amazing. I think the next step is to get onto like Fight TV, for example, and once these shows start streaming live, I think that's it. If I'd love to be able to just sit and watch a Body Slam event or a Stockholm wrestling event live, that would be amazing. And I think that's how the fan base is going to grow. Do you feel like that's the next step with the scene as well, trying to get that streaming on the shows?
I think eventually, I think the streaming part for the Nordic scene is, I think that's going to take a while, mainly because you need to have the technology for that, and that can be quite expensive. You need to have the cameras, the editing.
People are dedicated just on those parts of the show.
Exactly, and it's usually run quite small.
You're right.
I mean, obviously, you have the hand cam running around, and you have the hard cam as well for like the wider shots. But it's not that kind of production usually. Right. Even in the ones that get out on streaming sites, there is quite a lot of work going into that afterwards because you can't do it in real time yet. But hopefully that's just where we're heading. Hopefully. And I think it's going to take a while. We need to get the need to have the money for it.
Yeah, well, let's see, like if we could partner with a media company already in Stockholm wanting to be a part of that. So the dream would be like somebody coming to our show who is like a higher up in a TV company or a streaming company in Scandinavia and say, like, we want to partner with you on the next show. We'll provide the camera people, the streaming platform and everything. You guys provide the wrestling and the atmosphere. And that's probably how we could take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's
by my cat.
I thought I could hear something. Yeah, what the hell? I've got the 5-minute warning, so I don't want us to cut off from the recording, but obviously the scene's back, it's thriving. I know I've asked this before, I'm going to ask you it again. If travel permitting, are you guys still looking at coming over this side as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, nothing confirmed yet, but we've got plans for 2022 to come over.
If travel allows, and you'll be seeing us on the outside of the water as well.
You're gonna come see. Yeah. You're gonna come say hello while you're here, because it'd be good to see you guys. Go for a Pepsi.
Definitely.
That would be awesome.
The traveling is easier in England.
Callum now does drink non-alcoholic beer, don't you? So you can have a non-alcoholic beer, Callum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll drink the alcohol for you. No worries.
Yeah, just so you look like you fit in. But totally. If you guys come over here, we'll definitely be there wherever you're at. And like I said, we're coming to Sweden as soon as we can. As soon as they give us permission, because I don't know what the hell's going on. There's different rules constantly, but I have no idea. But before it does stop recording, it's always a pleasure. Like I said at the start, you are our friends. Promote yourself. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, I mean, obviously Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the usual places. You find me. Aliss Inc. Just search for it.
You find me as Marcus of Man or MJ Shill on Twitter. So I've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. On YouTube, you can find some of my matches as well. You can find some of Aliss Inc.'s matches.
Yeah,
we've got some full matches on YouTube with English commentary from the Stockholm site. So for international fans, that's where you can go to check us out.
Coming up new ones from the November show quite shortly.
Yeah, Friday actually. Yeah, tomorrow, middle of the day, our first match with English commentary fully cut together will be going live on Facebook. So follow Stockholm Wrestling to see some new matches.
Hell yeah. Hell yes. I happen to have the day off work tomorrow, so I'll be knowing what I'm doing with my time. But it's always a pleasure, guys. And like you said, we spoke before we started recording. We'll do this again in the new year. But for now, Aliss, Marcus of Man, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Looking forward to talking to you again. All right. Take care.
You too.